That's music from the band Talk. And that's a little bit of what we're going to do today. Run away to Mars here on the New Design for Living. My name is Camille Conte on this new talk show here on KONR. We are reimagining how to live, love, and treat each other. It's the new design model for society. And one of the pillars of the new design model is local, that we went from global to local as a focus point. And so it's always a treat for me to have as many local people on the show as possible because I know a lot of them and they are instrumental to the health and vibrancy of this city. And that's a good intro for this week's guest. I get to call him my dear friend. And honestly, he really operates at that level of genius. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and a bunch of other stuff as well. Drum roll, please. Welcome to the show, Kurt Riemann.
Hey, welcome to me. Hi. Nice to be here.
It's so great to see you.
Sharing a space with Camille, one of my favorite friends.
I'm telling you, we go back.
Oh, man, don't tell anyone.
We go back. I have played What Are You Doing New Year's Eve every single New Year's on my show, the Camille Conte Show, my other podcast. What a joy that was to record that song for your Alaskan music
fun.
series.
I remember it, yep.
I remember just crying after you tweaked some buttons and made me sound even better.
And then you went on stage and did it.
Oh, that's
so
right,
happy.
at the museum. No, at the library.
Yeah.
At the library, yeah, that was great. So there are several things I want to talk about today, but I actually want to start with this Mars project because as I was doing a little prep for the show today, I have to admit I knew of it, but I hadn't done the deep dive to really understand what is now showing at the Anchorage Museum into the month of September. And so just to kind of set the stage, this is a 6-screen visual and surround sound experience that's at the museum.
Right.
And you are not just the composer of the soundscape, but you actually painstakingly spent the last 10 years gathering digital visuals of Mars as well as photographs from NASA. So there's no AI here at all. These are all real images.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with the first question is, what the hell are you thinking? Like, what?
Oh, okay.
How did this seed drop into your mind?
I got ruined in my what year did 2001 come out, right? So I was about 10. I think it was in like 4th grade. And I saw 2001 in Seattle with my mom and her sister and got my mind blown by this space thing. And my dad got me a telescope, and so I'm like looking at the moon and stars, and it's just, a little cruddy telescope, but my brain went out that far. Like I was seeing the sky and going like, we are really out there. Same thing with the eclipse. Like 10 years ago, I went down and saw that, and the full eclipse happened, and all of a sudden, you are seeing yourself glued to the side of this planet with the sun in space and stars coming out, and you find your place in the universe like that. Well, I had and we'll say 10 years, I'd been interested in doing some kind of music project, because I'm a composer first. Some kind of music project involving Mars or space shots. So I was narrowing it down, like I could find public domain visuals and was doing some video work with them. And then I started finding more and more interesting things about Mars. One of the things I found from NASA and the University of Arizona is that we have an orbiter that's been spinning around Mars for over 20 years, and it's been taking photographs. And if you go to any of the websites or go anywhere and look up, pretty pictures of Mars, it'll show you these pictures. And it's the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter that's spinning around Mars, taking these long shots. It's like a long plank of wood, these shots, and they look pretty cool. But you can zoom in on them a lot, like it's really taking incredible pictures. So I also discovered that there are things called digital terrain maps that are of the same regions on Mars, and so I could superimpose these color photographs and black and white photographs over the terrain of Mars. And by doing that, you can place a camera anywhere you want within that photograph. You can be on the side of a hill or near a gully or whatever, and then move that camera so you're actually seeing Mars in 3D. And this is a very simple way of explaining something that's actually pretty mind-blowing when you see it. So I was working on that for a while and then kind of cracked the code about 5 years ago about how to really do it, and started putting together these longer videos of that motion and finding the real colors there too, because we take three kinds of pictures. We take the the kind that you would normally see, just, color like you're looking at trees and stuff. Those colors are correct. And then we also take infrared shots, and during the day and during the night. And some of these shots reveal the different kind of chemistry going on.
Okay.
And so I can combine those shots. I can do one or the other. But what's amazing is what's there is eerily familiar, but not, because that place does not have plate tectonics. Nothing subducts. Nothing changes like it does on the Earth. There's no rain. One of the subtitles of the show is "A Trillion Days Without Rain," because it's been 2.5 billion years since precipitation on that place.
Wow.
So 1 trillion days without rain. That's how long it's been. That's how arid it is. And everything is just sculpted now by dust. The dust and sand blowing around, slowly eroding things. You're looking at billion-year-old craters, some new because there's no atmosphere to stop the meteors from hitting it. You're looking at, the Grand Canyon of Mars, which is like 3 times as deep as what's on Earth. Some of the colors, the ultraviolet colors and just the regular colors, are amazing. It's not just a red planet like we normally see it. And I have, when putting the show together for the museum, I came up with this thought that it would be nice to just have like Latin titles for regions or something.
But when did you go from what you just talked about and seeing the pictures and all that's available to the concept of I'm going to create a show?
It was a step at a time, and this is one of those things where luck favors the prepared.
Okay.
So I'd been obsessively doing it, knowing I was going to do something with it, and I just kept getting deeper and deeper into this, and newer software, doing better enhancements. Like the stuff I have now, the way I've enhanced it is better than the stuff from NASA.
Wow.
NASA, not NASA.
That's okay. That's a Jersey. That's a Jersey way of saying it. I appreciate
it's not
that.
for Mediterranean. Whatever. So I had these things, and about a year and a half ago, I had Rick Zielinski, the saxophonist, producer guy, got a hold of me and wanted to do a show out at the university of my stuff, because I'd been producing all kinds of nutty little videos of all kinds of things, and Mars was a part of it. And so one of the opening sections of the show was 15 minutes of Mars visuals, because there were like 4 screens out there, and myself and a couple members of the symphony doing some improvisation along with Rick, along with some soundtrack stuff that I had kind of scored at the time, but using extended techniques, like a violin shouldn't sound like a violin. You touch it in a certain way that just brings out harmonics and is not evocative of earthly things, because it's Mars.
Exactly.
Right? You don't want to put a harp on it, because a harp is the sound of rain and water, and you don't put a harp on there, but you can scrape a harp. You can do other things to it that will evoke other images. So I did that, and after that was done, I had pretty good reviews. Elizabeth from the conductor of the symphony came and really liked it, and so that gave me the guts to call up Julie Decker at the museum and say, "Come on over. I got a thing I want to show you. I don't know what you could do. Maybe we could just post this outside an elevator or something." And
I love this.
Just to have sound going. And she came over to the studio, which is downtown, and she watched it and said, "Yeah, no, we got a room for it. Yeah, in a year we're going to have this thing called." The name's going to escape me right this second. Distant early warning signs, which is a thing about Alaska during the Cold War.
Okay.
And somehow Mars was also another thing that was in it. So she said, "Yeah, just put it in a room."
Wow.
And but the room they gave me, it's about 20 feet wide at one end and about 40 feet long, these 2 walls. So it's surround video. I had to do these ultra-wide images that move and not too fast so people don't get seasick watching it. But so it's basically 4 walls of motion of Mars. And I forget that people have never seen any of this stuff.
Right, because you've been in it so long.
Yeah.
You just, this is normal for you.
This stuff is obscure, and I just put so much work into it. Then finally, I had no idea what it was going to look like until the show went up, and I thought, cool. This is really good. And then the whole reason I did it, the whole reason was to do the soundtrack for it. That's why I started doing this thing, was to write the soundtrack. And the soundtrack came easily. I'd written a thing like way back when Randy Fleischer was with the symphony.
Yeah.
I played him something. He said, yeah, do something for the symphony. Then he passed away, and it's Elizabeth now, and so none of that happened, which is actually a blessing because it turned into this other project for me. So the music is quadraphonic. It's surround sound. It involves symphonic music. There's a lot of computer-generated stuff. There's just a lot of my musical philosophy is built into what's happening on the speakers, and it follows the show. And the show is 2.5 hours long. You can just come and sit on a couch and
get lost in space.
Blow your mind. Yeah.
Well, and I appreciate the way you're saying your musical philosophies, because I was looking this up and getting a little bit more information about it, and it's reviewed as spectral, classical, and electronic.
Yeah.
As well as the Anchorage Symphony Orchestra, as well as a sound of a rock falling on Mars that you amplified thousands of times.
Yeah.
So I know what classical is, and I know what electronic is, but what's spectral when we're talking about music?
Spectral is, you can actually draw something on the screen. This is old program, which wasn't actually a program. It was someone who came up with this idea of drawing on a piece of glass, and it was called ANS, and I can't remember why it was called that, but you could draw like a line going up, a line going down. You could spray paint a spot on it. And as it was scanned by the projector, it turned it into a soundtrack. So pitches would go up, they'd go down, you'd have cloudy sounds, you'd have kind of abrupt tonal things. Well, I found a program that did exactly that, and so I created about a 45-minute piece based on that, and it sounded absolutely Martian.
Wow.
I'm moving my arms around because I got to use words when I'm talking about this. Our relationship to Mars follows our relationship to each other. It follows our relationship to the Earth and to our visions of what life is and immortality, all these things. You know, the early people seeing Mars up there, this dot in the sky, what is it? You know, how are the constellations? How does it fit into all this? Everyone's always trying to figure it out. There's hosts of the planets, you know, with all the themes that go into it. There's older versions of music about Mars, and we're all trying to get a grip on this thing. And now we're there. We can actually see the place.
Why do you think out of all the planets, that one has stood out for so long?
I don't know. I mean, it's close, and just and the fact that we went there kind of in the 70s was cool.
Sure.
You know, so we saw a picture. We went to Venus and like, we can't go there. You know, we'll melt basically as humans. But we've been to Mars, and surprisingly, Mars has been to us, because when a giant meteor hits that planet, like maybe 500 million years ago or 1 billion years ago, the gravity is only 40% of the Earth's gravity, which is also why it's not holding an atmosphere. So all of this rock blows back off into space, and then it ends up on the plane of the ecliptic, I think is what it is, elliptic. And eventually, occasionally, rocks will come plummeting to Earth in the form of meteors, etc. So there's meteor collectors. They'll go to Antarctica and see rocks sitting out on the ice, and that's where they came from, was up above. They're not emerging out of the ice, so those are all meteors. And I think in Nairobi, a meteor fell, and a guy got a hold of it, and it's like, yes, it's a piece of Martian rock, probably about the size of your fist, and this guy has been breaking off little pieces and making them available to the general public. And my lovely wife, MJ, got me just
Wow.
a little chunk of this thing, and it's just the tiniest piece in the world. But I have it here, and I might be able to
That's amazing.
open this thing up. But yeah, what I was able to do on the visuals is unable to open this little box. Here, you try it.
You actually have it. Okay.
Yeah. One of our orbits around Mars, we were able to take a shot of an avalanche, just a dust avalanche off the side of a. It's not that delicate, just smack on it.
Yeah.
A dust avalanche off a cliff, and there's this marvelous shot of this plume of dust sticking off of there. And I was able to animate it so it just looks like it's moving. There you go. Yeah. So touch it.
Wow.
It's a piece of Mars.
That's crazy.
That dot's bigger than it looks up in the sky.
Wow.
So in order for the soundtrack in that one section, I took this little piece of Mars here.
That's amazing.
And just scratched it. This here, it's the sound of Mars. That's actually Mars right there. That's me touching the piece. So I took that sound and multiplied it by about 10,000 times.
Incredible.
And turned that into the avalanche sound,
Oh my
the dust avalanche. Because, why not? Otherwise, I'd just be manufacturing a sound out of my synthesizer.
Exactly.
Took the same amount of time. It was just more interesting that way. Right?
Yeah. I'm totally fascinated by all of this because when we just had that planetary alignment this past winter, I have always also had a fascination with the sky and the stars and the planets. And as you know, I love sunsets but something happened for me over the course of the winter when those planetary alignments were going through their various phases. Mm-hmm. And I just really spent a lot of time looking up.
Yeah.
And it does change you. And it certainly changed me. It changed my thoughts about death. It changed my spiritual landscape. It just does something when you look upward and realize what's happening above us is so beyond description that you just can't, put a whole lot of words to it.
Yeah.
But I just have to go back to this spectral aspect of the music. Were you saying that somebody is drawing a line on a piece of glass that then gets scanned into sound?
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember. It was in a movie from the 50s, and I think it might have been a Russian guy.
So does that confirm that everything ultimately is a sound wave? If you're drawing on a piece of glass and then that line turns into musical notes that produces a sound?
Well, like now you can take a sound like my voice or a sound of something breaking or a car skidding, and you can put it up on the screen and look at the spectrum of it. You can see the high frequencies and low frequencies and all the components of the sound.
Okay, so that's when I'm like in Adobe Audition, I see the colors on the bottom.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the reverse of that. If you were to draw that and then listen to it, that's what this is.
That's absolutely fascinating.
But in a very primitive way. And I like things that have limitations. I like them a lot because sometimes if you don't have any limitations, it's like, how do I start? What do I do? Maybe I should write a page without using the letter E. Just for
the purpose of
start. How do I do it? How do I work around these structures and these ideas? And that's how I felt in some of the soundtrack stuff with Mars.
Talking with Kurt Riemann today about several things. We're starting about this Mars project that's currently being shown at the Anchorage Museum. I'm going now that I understand what this is. If you've got family or friends in town, an amazing way to spend some time with them to show them this extraordinary presentation. And if you've got a comment or a question, 907-222-1061 is the number here in the studio. One other thing about this project, I can only imagine the emerging technology that's available to a composer like yourself. Mm-hmm. Are there emerging technologies that don't involve AI anymore?
It's always limited by your imagination. There's as a composer, as someone who does electronic music, I somehow feel like it's sort of stopped in the 70s. ideas.
Okay.
Sampling, synthesizers, filters, delays, all that stuff. There's all the effects that go on in electronic music, all that stuff. That already happened. There's not a lot of groundbreaking new things. Like spectral synthesis, like the thing I did, like that seems really interesting and new. Well, that happened in the 50s. So there's not a lot of new things with sound. I mean, yeah, there's the AI thing, which depends on what you think about art. Now, I use AI. I don't use it for music. Although I did an Alaskan music show that, as a joke, it was all AI music.
Oh,
with
and did
Alaskan
you say
lyrics.
that it was?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. And even the theme music is being sung by someone at the AI Alaskan music show.
Crazy.
It's not even real. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to me, it was hilarious. It's a little more, just kind of tongue in cheek. And I did that nearly 2 years ago now.
Really?
But not much else has happened in AI musically.
Well, I mean, this is something I was talking about on the Camille Conte show because I had stumbled upon this article about AI. I've been watching and reading about this for a while now, but it was a story about Spotify and this AI band, the Velvet Sundown.
Yeah, that thing.
And the music was AI, the band was made up, the pictures of them were AI, the backstory was all made up, this whole thing, and how Spotify, though, didn't say they were. Yeah. It was AI.
Yeah.
And this whole idea of the morality of AI music that's not identified as such. Do we need...
Well, ask any visual artist about what they feel about AI stuff.
Exactly.
I've watched people lose jobs over, well, I did this AI mock-up and I think it's perfectly fine. This, fish dancing.
And maybe it's just the next level of when everybody got an iPhone and became a photographer and became a videographer and I don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
Or when people started putting equipment in their home during the pandemic and said, I don't need a producer anymore. I can do it myself. So it is interesting to watch how situations and technology evolve us, whether we want to go or not. I mean, so let's do a sidebar here because obviously you have recorded the music of, I think, more Alaskan artists than anybody. You've been so dedicated to supporting Alaskan artists and have brought a level of professionalism to them, oftentimes, and certainly true years ago, though I would imagine it's still true today. You've made it affordable for people to have high quality producing experiences.
Yeah. What's your budget? Sure.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what's so beautiful. Budget? What do you mean? I got to pay for this?
Yeah.
But I just really want to honor that because there's not a band that hasn't come through your doors at some point in the last 25, 30 years. I mean, it's just been really remarkable. This is a legacy that I feel really strongly about. And I feel strongly about making sure people understand that you are a thread in the tapestry of this city that is just vibrant and still threading. You're still weaving this love of music and how it shows up when it comes to Alaskan artists. So
I think of it a little bit like, you're sewing the parts onto Frankenstein.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
I like that.
What do we got? We'll use it.
So what like producing people? How is that?
Okay, so the best part, the most wonderful part of working with any artist is producing. And I don't think that most people know what producing actually is. Like almost everyone saw, I'm a content producer, I'm a music producer. So it's cool. What'd you produce? So I produced this song. It's like, well, you wrote that song. That's not producing. Producing is this other layer of understanding what someone is doing and finding the way to make them do it in the most wonderful way, to follow what the song is, to follow
their own authenticity.
Yeah, and everyone is different.
Right.
So like I've got an artist in now who Marion Call is doing some stuff. And the most fun of it is, you can walk in the studio and you can look at the microphones and all the junk that's around there. It's like, it's going to sound good anyway.
Right.
It's going to sound fine. But how is the artist going to make the music? And so with an established artist, it's fun because they already know most of what it is they're doing. And they're looking for, extra parts or maybe some session musician or something like that. And I know that depending on who the bass player is, I know how the interaction is going to be with the artist. And I know how I will be able to talk to either one of them to get to the core of the song. If someone says, "Oh, I want the song to sound this particular way," I also get to know the artist as a person and as an artist, what it is they're trying to get done. And they may say, "Oh, I have all these influences," and they can play you a whole bunch of stuff that they want to do. And I might listen to I will listen to those. But I put it in the context of the person that I'm getting to know and what it is they want to be able to hear, and what it is they will hear when they listen to their own album in 10 years. Because it's easy to have a brand new artist in there and do exactly what it is they're doing. You can record it and clean up notes, get it tuned and all that stuff. Thank you very much. Pat them on the back and off they go. And that'll sound like a first album. Mm-hmm. But if you've followed any band, who's done serious work over the years, they've been together for like 5 years, and then they really do a first album. By the time they get to their fourth album, it's absolutely remarkable how they have found their own voice.
Yes.
I view my job as getting to your fourth album the first time. And some of it, I have a bag of tricks with me of just how to make someone feel better about what it is they're doing. Because, you'll stand in front of a microphone. Here's one of my long stories, something that if I'm with you, producing you or talking to you in the studio, there's a number of ways of approaching like your first vocal when you walk in. And this is just part of my philosophy, and I learned this from a very dear friend of mine. If you are, that's just metaphor, you're standing on the edge of a forest, and you're going to walk into that forest. So you step in there and you walk a little bit. It's beautiful. It's green. You see all the trees. There's a little shaft of light coming down. You walk a little farther forward. Oh, I heard a bird off to the right. I wonder what that was. And you step a little farther forward. There's shadows and light change. And I think, did I just see a deer on the left? And you step forward and you step on a stick. The stick cracks. And it makes you think, about paths. I should go take the path off to the right. I should do all these things. And look, this smells wonderful. Okay. Cut, take two. All right. Now I'm standing on the edge of the forest. I'm going to walk in. I'm going to be, there it is. Okay, I see the shafts of light. I'm going to walk forward. This is how you're singing the second time. The first time was the innocent discovery of everything. Even though you've sung the song a million times, when you first step in front of a microphone, that first take was you walking into the woods the very first time. Second time you walk in, you're seeing the things you were expecting. There's the shaft of light. Mm-hmm. I'm going to step on that twig. I'll go ahead and step on that thing. I saw it coming. And then here's the deer over there. Okay, cut, take three. Yeah, all right, I'm walking into the woods. I'm going to go 5 steps forward. I'm going to hear this thing, and there's the bird. There's, this time there's a raccoon. Cut, take 4. Oh, my God. Okay, now I'm walking in the woods. I'm going to go forward, walk forward. Oh, I missed the deer. Oh, I forgot about I didn't see the shaft of light. The very first time you're doing something, the very first time you step in front of a microphone and you play or anything, it's this discovery of the song for the first time, even though you may have sung it a million times before. If you know that you're going to find new things and follow new paths based on maybe the way you sang that word, now go somewhere different with it. If you have this wonderful explosion of ideas that you didn't have before, that's a musical experience that you're excited about. You're holding your shoulders a different way. You're leaning forward like I am into this microphone and trying to get this idea across. You're singing a song for the first time ever to someone. And remarkably, we're able to record that.
Right.
And whether or not you feel it as an artist, I get to witness it. And I absolutely love hearing people find that element of themselves. And the forest is just a metaphor for it, but depending on what the song is.
Sure.
So you get to hear someone performing something and expressing it in a particular way. It's new to them and new to you, and it's this invention and discovery, and you actually hear a human getting it across to you, right? So like the other way of putting it is, if I were to, let's say I'm talking to someone about a song, like if I were to send you a postcard and it said, I'm in Seattle, I'm sending you a postcard, even though I could just send you an email. Everything's great. Went and saw the, Pike Street Market or whatever yesterday. Love you. Bye. And you send it off, and that's what it is. That's that postcard, right? That story is different from if in your life, at some point, you were with someone that you really adored and everything was going great, and just like day after day it was this particular thing. And then for some reason you noticed a change in that person and you start chasing it. It's like, what? Mm-hmm. Something's different and you don't know what it is, and they keep changing and they're moving away from you in this way, and you don't know what to do, and you're trying to figure out what it is in your life, in their life, what has changed, and they're changing, and you're losing this person. You don't know what to do, and you want to say, "I love you." Well, that's a different "I love you" than the one that was on the postcard.
For sure, for sure.
So you don't want someone to sing the postcard. You want them to sing that story, whether or not what I just told you about the person in your life is the story of the song. You can tell in my voice right now that these things can affect my performance, and things that affect your performance also affect the listener. And music has gotten just too straightforward and everything's perfect. We got the pitches and all that stuff. But the cost is that, and everyone says it, perfection is the enemy of the good.
Right. Well, and I think the other thing you're also describing here is the atmosphere and the importance of the atmosphere, the importance of the environment, that
they have to be safe.
They have to be safe. They have to trust. They have to feel understood, so that all those guards can be relaxed and they can have that discovery more easily for themselves, giving you a chance to capture it.
Yeah.
But I would say that is a level of, just the intuitiveness that you do bring, because I've experienced it, is how you make somebody feel and the atmosphere and the environment in the room. And that cannot be understated in its importance in how it ends up as a sound or a song on a record.
I joke sometimes that it's a confessional.
Yeah, I get it.
But you want that feeling.
Yeah,
you want people to be able to go expose themselves and stumble and fall and just do a pratfall and laugh it off.
Exactly.
And do the right thing.
Yeah.
And it's so different it's why it's fun to go watch a live performance. That's cool. But it's why I'm addicted to producing. It's why I really love working with people in this particular
and your
environment, and just making music in general. It's like that reveals itself every day in every way.
Kurt Riemann is my guest, 907-222-1061 if you want to join the conversation. I want to also talk about the Alaska Music Archives, which came before the Alaska Music Show / podcast. Yeah. Okay, because your show is playing here before I come on the air.
Yeah.
And so I want to get to that, but I am familiar a little bit with the Alaska Music Archives. I think that you were just getting it started when you moved into your new location. Is that fairly accurate? 5 years ago?
Kind of close,
or so?
yeah. Well, it's like so many things that happened in the mid 2010s.
Is that how we say that?
Yeah.
2010s.
I'm trying to coin that.
That's the best I've ever heard it said.
And I used to say 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. In the old studio, you could excavate upstairs. You could just work your way farther back to the corner and just go back 10, 20 years. At one point I thought, I wonder how much stuff I have, because I know I had done, by now I've been involved in 700-800 albums like that.
Wow.
So somewhere I thought, I wonder how many of these things I can find, because suddenly I'm curious, which ones have I forgotten entirely about and can put on and listen to. So I started looking for those things, and I started putting the word out, who else has stuff? And I lead a very insular life, right? I'm here and I'm oh, there's a window. That's Anchorage is out there.
Outside.
But in the studio, a decade will pass and I will have done a bunch of stuff that I love.
What do you mean it's 2025?
But I can have very, very, horse blinders on and just be moving forward. So I looked for my stuff, and then I started discovering like, oh, geez, there's like entire collections of stuff people have done elsewhere in other studios that I was like barely aware of. I know there's a bunch of stuff from Fairbanks, but just around town, there's like, Chad Reimann recorded a whole pile of things, Mirror Studios, and that same location is now Frostline.
Charlie.
Yeah, but Charlie didn't have anything. He didn't save anything at all. But there's just a ton of stuff, and people will have, I got a cassette of like the Disastronauts or something like that. So I was looking for all of it.
And you know what it's making me think of is the Beatles documentary that was done. And one of the parts that I just loved, aside from the fact that it was Alan Parsons who was doing it, but the moment when the reel came off the machine and he puts it in the box and he writes on the side of the box in black magic marker what it is, and I'm thinking about that now because this is a storehouse. This is so important to the city and to the state for people to understand the volume of music that you have your hands on.
So besides me, I mean, what happened, sadly, a friend of mine passed away about 7 years ago now, Bob Amos, and his collection of stuff, I mean, he recorded the Anchorage Symphony, the concert chorus, all the classical music in town, like obsessively.
Wow.
Like a hoarder of all this stuff. And there's thousands of these recordings that I inherited from him, and these go back to the 70s.
Wow!
So there's reel to reels. And he was on top of all of it. Every change in technology and just these marvelous sounding recordings. There's thousands of these things of his. There's all the bands that have recorded albums and cassettes and CDs and stuff. So, and the weird history of this stuff is that someone may have done something and they got like, I made 500 cassettes and I was able to give away 8. They stayed under my bed and I threw all of them out. My girlfriend had the master thing and we broke up and it was in her closet and I don't know where anything is anymore. Right? So the stuff happens and it's ephemeral. It's like, where is it? Where'd it go? And so you run across one cassette, and it's like, you have that? I'll digitize it for you for free and give it back to you. And I'll scan the front and back and everything so you can, you now have, Freedom 49, some obscure show that they did, but that tape's full of music, right? So the goal right now is getting all of this online. So as grant money happens, as we get contributions, I'm able to take this stuff and right now it's sort of classical music, and I have a bunch of the pop and folk, just this. All these things are getting little bit by little bit, they're getting digitized and cataloged. And the goal is to make them available online through, it will be a website that you'll be able to click on the thing and like, here's that album, here's that tape, here's whatever it is. And
it reminds me of a MEPA, like the Alaska Moving Image nonprofit that has been archiving and hosting all the moving images and films. Right,
The difference is I want this stuff available for people. It's like it's not enough to just have it.
Right.
So
so you're saying that eventually the Alaska Music Archives will be an online radio station, so to speak, where people can go?
I mean, there's issues of access, there's issues of copyright, there's those things.
Okay.
If it's done properly, you'll be able to click on something and hear a recording of something, and it'll be cataloged in a particular way, maybe by year, but you'll be able to just through the database go Disastronauts, click it, and then you'll find the 3 releases that they did. Right?
Do you think that this value that we're speaking about, preservation, access to what was, do you think this is a value that's rolling into the next generations?
It used to be, the phrase used to be, music being disposable or things were disposable. I think when things are put on CD or cassette or some form like that, they have kind of an intrinsic durability to them.
But is that a skewed perspective because we grew up with those elements?
And now someone will put something out and then it'll be online and you have to hope that you'll be able to find that later, which is the whole point of a digital archive. That you'll be there is a repository, and if you do it right, like if you're with a library, then the library will have this thing backed up to 50 other libraries globally. Because
this really taps into something that I've thought about and talked about that means something to our conversation, and that is how society, business, technology, and all of them together forced us out of things and into things. Mm-hmm. And something as simple as when the Mac laptop took out the CD player. Mm-hmm. And now I was forced to buy an external CD player.
You're renting your music now.
To play, yeah. And so I feel for artists today, because even though young people are growing up with this ritual, the download, as theirs, it's fairly impersonal. But what they don't have is the multitude of players. They don't, granted, people are bringing back, like my friend Matt Hopper, he was talking about this guy in Portland that just works with cassettes, and wanting to do this small cassette release. And we were just talking about, and that's a fantastic and important, topic as well, is artists, their music, how they distribute it, how they generate income from it, but also the product itself. People making, like this band I was with the other night at Snow City, Katie Guillen and The Drive. Mm-hmm. They had an album version. They had a vinyl version, which seems to be on the comeback. Yeah. So I just wonder if generationally, if people didn't grow up with these ways of playing music, will the idea of an archive be meaningful to them? I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, well, a way that people would be able to look it up, too. Like if you did type that into the web, like, it's coming up on this website.
But do you know what I'm saying? Like books as a way to...
if you're an artist and you're standing on stage, you better have a CD for people to buy.
Absolutely.
And here's my cynical view of that. It's not musically cynical, but it's that people are only going to tip you so much. But if they're getting something out of it, say CDs are $20. They'll buy a CD, and that physical CD is going to haunt them for 10 or 20 years. They're going to have it in their house. I don't have a CD player.
Exactly.
What am I going to play this on? But here's a memory of this really great show, and they're carrying it around with them, and it's a visual and physical reminder of the show. Cassettes were the same thing when we were doing
cassettes.
100 punk bands at the studio.
Oh, my gosh.
We actually manufactured cassettes like from nothing, from shells and inserting the actual tape into them and printing them out. We were making cassettes for people, and those are the cassettes that people still have. Like, I want to hear. I was saying, Freedom 49. I got one of those, and people are like hoarding them and taking pictures of their little collections. They mean something to people. They meant something to them then, and you may not have the shirt that you wore to the show, but by God, you have that cassette. And
so musicians that are currently coming into the studio, new ones that are coming into your studio to record their first album, what are they wanting to press? Is it CDs?
Yeah, almost always CDs. Yeah. Vinyl's pretty hard to do. And vinyl doesn't sound good. It never did sound good. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. It's not. It's
imperfect.
It has a tone to it, and that's fine. My thing is, like, I'm sitting in the best seat of the house for when someone's master is done. You're sitting there and you listen to this thing, and it'll just make your hair stand on end. It's just so beautiful. There was a running thing in the studio decades ago when everything came out on vinyl. Like, I would get this phone call. Someone would get their albums at their house and be like, this doesn't sound anything like my music. And it's like, well, what's your what's your turntable, what's your cartridge, what are your speakers like, all that stuff. Everything is different when you've taken your music and engraved it onto something with a diamond and then smashed that into a hockey puck
and put it in a
pulled it out of the sleeve, and there's dust and dog hair on it, and you're playing it back. It takes a bit of ignoring to get that sound.
Yeah.
But nothing is like a giant album.
Right, but
art.
that only became true when there was a better way to listen to music. When the album was the album, it was fantastic. Nobody had a reference point to what else. And the ritual of an album is still a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
In the closing minutes that we have, and I'm so glad we've tackled much of what I have here in my notes, I have to say that the Alaskan Music Show and Podcast, which plays here before and after this show, it does what it's supposed to do. It made me realize, shockingly, how many bands and artists that I never heard of.
Yeah.
I'll come in and I'll look at the playlist, right? Because I got to time it to noon, and it blows my mind how many people their music on your playlist on your show I've never even heard about.
Right. So the genesis of that was when Jason, our dear Jason here, he had the radio station going and was just playing, what was the album he was playing over and over and over again, just to keep it on the air?
Oh.
Yeah.
They just mentioned this.
Yeah.
Don't force me. Yeah.
So it'll come to us.
This is
anyway, because
really
I told him,
now.
I said, let's just make it a 24-hour Alaskan music station. Let me just announce all these songs and give it to you. And so for a year or so, I was doing these hour-long, just these drops of like, here's the Alaskan music collection. Here's all these bands that I'd been collecting. So I named them all up. So it's, obviously people listening to this station recognize my voice from Larry Zarella, Frozen Feet, before you hear that song. So there's just this unbelievable amount of music like that. I have a podcast that's the Alaska Music Podcast, which you can get on and just do a deeper dive into individual albums, a lot more recent stuff and interesting vintage things. But I want to mention a couple of websites for people.
Sure.
So we're talking about Mars, and if you go to a place called nightworks.com, so NIGHTWORKS, nightworks.com. That'll take you right to the Mars project, and you can see the stuff we were talking about. But the Alaska Music Archives, there's an interesting thing there that everyone can participate in, and you'll want to. So it's alaskamusicarchives.com, alaskamusicarchives.com. It's spelled perfectly. Do that. But you go there, and there's a wiki page where you can go in and type what you know about bands that show up on the page. It's like it's a database of all the bands. It's like 1,000 bands in there, and you can work on it. Because we found out that's MJ. My wife tells me this too. Like if you have an interview that's not going very well, or you're asking questions in an interview and someone's not responding, give them wrong information about themselves. Like, I heard you were married to such and such. And they will open right up. People will correct you sooner than they will volunteer information.
Good to know.
So if you go to the wiki thing there, you can go find your favorite band or enter your favorite band and look up information about what the album was and everything and correct what's in there.
Beautiful.
But yeah, it's a really cool resource.
Yeah. Last question. Venues. You and I came through a time when there were a lot of really important and great venues that hosted local music as well as people that were brought in from
all ages
state.
too.
Yeah.
All ages.
How are you feeling about the health of our venue life these days?
Well, as though I don't have enough projects going.
Okay.
I have one coming up, which I can't tell you right now, as we're looking for how to fund it and exactly the definition of it. But it's a way to support underserved artists and people that you've never heard of who might only have one song in their soul but would get up on stage to do it.
Okay.
And finding venues for them to do things. Like it's great in this building, Rage City.
Yes.
She'll have a song circle thing.
Exactly.
There's a lot of smaller things going on, but it's a bit daunting to want to go to like Vans, etc. And there's no all ages thing going on. I understand liability and so forth, but getting high school rock bands to happen, rather than not. A couple years ago we did a thing when the Hard Rock was there. We did two
That's
shows.
Right. Oh, yeah.
They
were very successful.
Oh, we found some great bands.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like what's happening at the Bread Place, Monday Night Jazz.
Yeah.
You see more and more young people going there.
But you just
Fire Island.
I want to hear a bunch of was like Dave Grohl says, just get on stage and suck. Get up there and do what it is you're doing. I want that to happen. I mean, I am long in the beard, but I still love and revere someone getting behind a drum kit and just beating the hell out of it and just finding their voice with other kids, people, and just making a righteous noise.
So
that's where it's at.
So is this a venue-specific project that you can't talk about?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll be finding venues. We're friends with a few.
So it'll be a
venues.
Rotating opportunity?
It'll be, yeah.
Because, now they've got this coffee shop right across the street, Refuge City, and they've got a nice little stage there, and
it's part of a whole promotional thing. I mean, we'll be helping people with pictures, et cetera.
Okay.
But people that just don't know how to do it and reaching out a little harder.
I love this.
Because it's not hard to find the bands that are playing right now.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody, and we were remembering however many years ago now that I had this workshop that I did for artists to teach them not just how to be on stage, how to intro songs, how to talk things up, to have a real understanding of the importance of those things, but also teaching them how to take off their artist hat and put on their business hat when they're negotiating gigs or, being paid and whatnot. Because the artist is just so grateful to have the chance to play. They'll do it for nothing all the time.
Yeah.
But you got to learn, as I had to, how to be the business person of your work in the world so that you can elevate your opportunity for a crowd, for a venue, for a paid gig.
And I just get so many emails from people. I've got a song I'm thinking of doing, and then you never hear from them again. Like they blow their own minds. I would like to be able to say, yes, come in tomorrow, and you're taken care of.
Beautiful.
And you've done something amazing, and someone is there to take nice pictures of you. You get some video for your Instagram, like off you go into the world, and you do that enough times, and then you have a project, and then you have one person lifting another person up, and like, hey, all 5 of you that just did this thing in the last month and a half, come on, there's a gig for you.
There's something actually in New Jersey, and I'm not remembering the name right now, but it's in Asbury Park, and it's something similar to this, where they have an opportunity to get pictures, but it's also tied into an online magazine. Then they have a podcast where the new person comes on and talks about it. Yeah. And it's just a lovely and fulfilling opportunity for us to give a new artist, even if it's a one-shot deal and they just have that one experience of an elevated version of their lives as an artist, is so important.
And everybody has a story. It's
everybody
I'll
has
record
a
your
story.
song and interview you for half an hour, find out why you did what you do.
Yeah, you know who has an amazing story that has nothing to do with music, but he's just popping into my mind because I saw him yesterday. He's an extraordinary man. My friend Bobby Lee, who was a former Iditarod musher, former race director. And I brought my equipment over he's now at the Horizon House. And I brought my equipment open to start recording him because he's got these unbelievable stories of the Iditarod when it wasn't even the Iditarod. Like he and Charlie Champagne took their own dogs the first time and just went along the trail camping just to watch and see what the hell this thing was. Yeah. And he's a historian of that race.
Yeah. Like Leo Hike, the former director of the Matsu concert band. You talk to him and you find out, he's one of the founders of the Iditarod. Tell me your story.
And you know what else should be at the museum? I can't believe the bands that came through West High.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like that should be an exhibit. The idea that, who is it, Steve McQueen? There's a mugshot of him from the Anchorage jail. Because my friend Tim Tullis was a part. I mean, I had no idea. I knew of some of the bands that came to town, but what a rich history that is.
Yeah.
You're a rich history. So great to have
the rich part. Stop.
Conversation with you. Thank you so much, Kurt Riemann of Surreal Studios.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of this amazing Mars. When is it through? September 17th or 7th?
It's for one more year.
Oh, it's going a whole nother year?
A whole year. It's going to be there,
I mean, this is something that clearly can travel the world, obviously.
Yeah. I'm scaling it up. Yeah, a friend of mine in Cleveland wants to use the Cleveland Orchestra for a museum thing. So,
very, very exciting. Yeah. Very, very exciting.
Very, very expensive.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? Some of the best things are, and that's just the way. That's just the way it rolls.
I'll be going through my couch for some coins.
Well, hey, anytime you want to do a fundraiser, I'm all in on this stuff.
All right.
Because again, this is local. This is who we are. This is the tapestry in our community. And like I said earlier, we are still actively weaving our threads in real time.
Yep.
And that's what the new design for living is all about, is real time. There's no instruction sheet for designing a new societal scaffolding. We're doing it together on shows like this in real time, elevating the importance of community and the people in it. And I just feel so passionately about the gold that is in this community, not just in music, but in all the different areas of a society.
Yeah.
And it's a treat to be with you in this way. So thanks for getting up early.
Bless you.
I know,
for having me.
I know you get up around 2 o'clock these days.
Oh, my, yeah, I slept. Yeah.
You look very well.
Thanks. That's
I
the coffee.
appreciate it. Thanks so much for tuning into the show. This is the new design for living, where we are reimagining how to live, love, and treat each other. It's a good thing to learn how to do. Take super good care of yourself, and I'll see you next Monday.